my friends, and welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations. Among our guests, we're going to be having a bishop and a young entrepreneur, and then we're going to have a discussion about scarred, not shattered. Quite interesting, don't you think? Let's look forward to these conversations.
Barbados, are you ready for the Beige to the World Finals? It's here, and it's AYP at your place. Sunday, March 21st, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Choose your entry, CBC TV 8, CBC Online, Trident 10 TV, Barbados Today, or Beige to the World on Facebook. Who will be the winner? Chad Bowen, Rebecca Carter, Trinity Clark, Kashida Dodden, Anna Greenwich, Destiny Hunt, Dwayne Jones, Dario Piggott, Regina Ruck, Cindy Springer, Shakira Straker, or Justin Taylor. Fantastic prizes up for grabs. First prize, $10,000 plus a recording and marketing contract. Second prize, $5,000. Third prize, $2,500. Beige to the World Finals is AYP at your place. Sunday, March 21st at 7:30 p.m. Don't you miss it. Beige to the World is powered by the Community Development Department in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment. Connect and follow us on Instagram at Beige to World and on Facebook at Beige to the World for all updates. It's Beige to the World.
Welcome. Entrepreneurship is the in thing in terms of employment these days. And branding is also one of those things. So by their brand, you shall know them. This series of Candid Conversations is with Janae Padmore. And we are going to hear a whole lot about her and what she calls, and what everybody perhaps knows by now, as Cultured by Janae. Welcome, Janae.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a bit about Janae.
Okay, so Janae,
Other than the way your name is spelled is not the way
it looks.
I would have pronounced it.
Okay, so Janae is a creative. She's a cultural practitioner. She's a dancer.
She's a dancer.
Yes. I started with dance. I was a dancer from the age of 4 and a national swimmer as well. So I represented Barbados in dance, swimming, and pageantry. And based on my upbringing and my love for the arts, Cultured by Janae was born. My love for fashion came through pageantry as well as dance. And, you know, building Cultured by Janae started with me not being able to get a job at first. So I said, well, it's time for me to create my own. And I was that creative, bubbly personality being from a very young age. And I just said, you know, I want to make statement pieces. So I saw this idea, statement pieces, yes. And I started from there. I would have done one piece for myself, asked my mother how to sew, because they're made out of fabric. I asked my mother how to sew, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
What did you want to do in terms of occupation?
Back then in university, I wanted to do event management at first. And it was in my final year, I found a passion in marketing.
Marketing?
Yes. So that passion definitely still stems up to this day, because I definitely use the tools that I would have used, that I would have learned at university to build my own brand, to build Cultured by Janae as well as my personal brand. So yeah, I mean, I still love marketing. It's still part of me, and who knows, maybe in the future something may stem from that.
Right, so the Cultured by Janae came into being.
Yes.
And what are some of these things that we see as culture?
Yes, so Cultured by Janae is an accessories brand based on vibrant colors, the Afrocentric elements of the Caribbean woman. So Caribbean women love to stand out, They love to be seen, be heard.
Is that true?
I would say so.
Okay.
I would say so. A strong Caribbean woman loves to be seen and heard.
Yes.
And it's these women that honestly motivate me to create. They're part of the creative process. All of my pieces are unique in every way, and no one piece is the same. So I think that's very important, and a unique selling point for my brand is that every piece is not the same, and a client or a customer can actually be a part of the creative process.
So I could tell you where I'm going,
Yes.
and you will, like the song says, and that would be an old calypso. Just show me the corner, and you will.
Yeah, and I'll lead you.
And you will lead me. So can you show me one of your pieces?
Yeah, so I'm wearing one right now. So as you can see, it's very lovely to pair with maxi dresses or a nice jeans and a top. Mainly those who want to wear a simple outfit and they just want to pop it with a statement piece or a vibrant color. So this is one piece. We have some pieces here as well. You can actually try it on if you want. I am nervous.
Culture by Janae.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, it does have the African accentuation, if
Yes.
that's the correct word. Can I put this on?
Yes, you can. Sure.
Once I put this on, does this belong to me?
We'll
Well,
arrange.
we
We'll
will
arrange
see,
after
we'll
this.
see about that. Okay.
I'll do one specially for you.
Okay. Wonderful. So what is it made of?
It's fabric and it's also made of rope.
Rope.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it feels good.
Yes. Nice and sturdy, not
Nice
too
and
heavy.
sturdy, not too heavy.
And that's probably one of the heavier pieces actually. So
So what is the story behind this creation?
that specific one? Okay, so I actually did that for crop over. And you know, crop over is all about being festive and bold. And because it was during summer, neon colors were in. And I was very inspired by the neon colors that I have in my collection. So I said, you know what? Let me pair it with black and white. And it was indeed a statement piece. Every time I wore it, it spoke wonders, and it's very versatile because you can wear it with anything.
Yes, I'm particularly attracted to it because I see the neon colors, so I could see the crop over festivity coming out here.
Yes, yes.
But I also see this one with the let me rearrange
That's fine.
and connect.
So this one is just me playing around and having fun. That literally was me playing around and having fun. The prints used are very African, with the exception of one, which is actually dyed from it was locally produced here. And
That would be this?
yes, that one. Yes.
See, I know something about tie-dye.
Yes. So I got that custom made for the lane, and I just had fun with that one, to be honest. I wanted something that was different. It was still the same aesthetic as the regular strands, but I wanted to add a little twist to it, and that was the end result.
You're talking about adding a little twist. I
Yes.
see there's one next to you with a twist, with an
Yes.
actual twist in it.
Yes. So there's this. This is actually a belt. So my collection ranges from earrings, neck pieces, bracelets.
So you have any earrings here?
Belts. Unfortunately, I do not, but they can be found in my collection Barbados. They're retailed in there, so you can check them
My
out.
collection Barbados is actually a place,
Yes.
or
Yes, it's a place. It's a store on the south coast, opposite Lanterns Mall. Yes.
so that is where we can find Cultured by Janae.
Yes, you can. Yep.
Any place else?
Yes, of course, you can order from our Instagram or Facebook page. We are on social media, so you can find us there. I am always willing to take your DMs, your direct messages. I'm always there for customer service. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out. You can also email me as well. And we can have discussions. My number is on the social media page as well. So if you want to call, feel free to have a conversation. If you know that there's a specific event that you need a piece for, we can have consultations.
So you will actually design something for me for church?
Yes, I can very much do so.
Okay, so it's not all culture. Because when I think of culture, I think about socializing activity.
No, it's any event. I've even had some people who've got pieces made specifically for the boardroom.
For the boardroom?
Yes, because they wanted, for an office setting, because they wanted something that stood out, but it was still simplistic.
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing, the powerful thing about these pieces, they're very customizable. So they don't have to be bright colors. They can be neutral colors, they can be solids, whatever you want them to be, they can be.
Okay. All we have to do is to give Janae a call.
Yes.
And we can reach her on Instagram.
Yes. Instagram or Facebook.
And all that is part of your marketing strategy that you started out at university.
Yep.
And now it has come all together as you seek to let women look good.
Yep.
Make a statement.
Yes.
Even though they like to speak, they not only speak, but they're
seen.
They are seen as well. All right. Any upcoming projects?
Yes, actually. So, yes. On October 17th, I will be launching a new project. It's geared towards highlighting 5 women. It's a launch of a new collection because they were able to create pieces for themselves to fit their personal styles, and they were highlighted. So 5 women, 5 strong cultured women, 5 new pieces, and the launch starts on October 17th.
So if I miss the launch, what is there for me?
You will see it. It's going to be posted on our social media pages as well as YouTube, so you will see it for sure.
Wonderful. Janae, it's such a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
Young, not upcoming, already present, entrepreneur. Ensuring that we women not only speak, but when we stand, we make a statement.
Yes.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes,
this was a pleasure.
Candid Conversations.
Thank you.
Parents, guardians, it's your girl Faith, and I know with the children home all day, wanna probably strand out. I know, but I've come with some really cool tips to help us all cope. Look, make it easier on yourself and the children too. Have schedules for time online and time offline. That way everybody gets used to a routine and children know exactly what's expected of them before, during, and after classes. Don't keep quarreling with the children, please. Watch what you say and how you say it. You gotta use positive language, and when you feel that you're gonna lose your cool, just take a breather, count to 3, and then you can tackle the issue. Children need brain breaks too, you know. Encourage them to do something fun every day. In fact, you should probably join with them too. Listen to your children. It's rough for them too, you know. So let them know that you care about how they feel, and remember that COVID is just as novel to them as it is for you. So give these things a try. Trust me. Let me know how they work. It's possible to share in the same space and still remain safe. Once we work together, we could definitely see this through. We got this.
Lovey-dovey, come on, minute. I got some tickets here selling to the Bears to the World Finals. And on this Sunday, March the 21st, 7:30 p.m. Cheap and sweet. Come and get your tickets. Come.
Hey, you! Come from out here before you lock you up. Go on, my G. Bears to the World is free. F-R-R. You can watch it on CBC TV 8, CBC Online, Trident 10 TV, Barbados Today or Base to the World on Facebook. Yes.
And remember, big money galore winning. And if you can stay at home and text and vote for your digital people's choice, and you got a chance to win a Samsung cell phone or a piece of money. PC Bros, listen, you said you don't want a bad ticket, I can get you a bargain. Buy one and share all the rest for free.
That's a bargain for you.
Come.
Give me all there. Like, give me all.
I love you. Bears to the World Finals this Sunday, March the 21st, 7:30 p.m. Stay home and watch it for free.
I feel she tricked me, you know.
Bears to the World is powered by the Community Development Department in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment.
November 16th, 2018 was a very exciting time in the life of Barbados. Exciting because the Anglican Church was in search of a bishop. And we went the full process. And now, having gone through that process, the announcement was made. I'm still excited, even though it's 2020, because we have a bishop. And here, this session of Candid Conversations, I actually have the privilege and the good fortune of being in charge of the bishop today. Generally, he's in charge of me, but today, on this session, I'm in charge of the bishop, Michael Bruce St. John Maxwell, and he is here with me so that we can talk candidly about his transition, what it is to be a bishop in the Anglican Church, and having moved from being a rector. Is there any difference? What is so exciting about being a bishop? Welcome, Bishop Maxwell.
Thank you,
I'm
Reverend
sure you
Erma,
heard all of that.
I did. And thank you for having me on Candid Conversation. Congratulations to you on this particular show that you have here. And it is a pleasure to be with you at this time.
Yes.
And your question was?
My question was, what was the transition like from being a rector to being a bishop? Is there a real difference?
Yes, there is. And I would say, first of all, that as I'm sure everyone knows, that is, to be the bishop was not in my interest at the beginning, of course.
So I never asked that question.
That's right.
Yes.
And so I always saw myself more so being in parish ministry throughout my tenure in terms of my ministry as a ordained minister. I have to say ordained minister now because I've moved from quote-unquote priest to bishop. So the transition was very difficult at the beginning because I prefer to be in the parish, among the people, engaging in mission and ministry at that level. And I always saw being the bishop as one that is always behind a desk, not being out there enough, meeting the people and interacting, and only being called upon for confirmations. That's the only time you would really get out to be within the parish, but then you never really build an immediate relationship with the people there. You tend to be more limited to your relationship and managing and dealing with the priests. And so I felt as though I was going to miss the whole interaction with the people on the ground within the parish. And even now, I'm still really missing that particular level of ministry. Very often, some of the clergy have to be reminding me that, Bishop, you are a bishop now, and we are the priests. We are the one who deal with the parish ministry while you just oversee. You're not in the parish, because very often I'm tempted to suggest and make recommendations as to how they can go about, and then have to remind me, Bishop, you are no longer there. And at times I feel a bit out of sorts, yes, because that is my passion, that is my love, to be in the parish, but as a bishop now I have to think differently, recognizing that, of course, I have to look at the overall picture, and that is something that that is also part of the transition, moving from being concerned about the individual parish, and now having to see the full picture and be able to hopefully help the parishes by meeting with the management team and meeting with others to try to see how best we can manage the diocese at this stage.
Manage the diocese and be the defender of the faith, make all those public statements, speak on behalf of the church, then you would have been in your little space.
Right, and being able to speak at a local level rather than at a national level. And that I haven't yet fully transitioned to that aspect of being able to respond to a lot of national issues. Of course, yes, the media will still try to reach you and so forth, and they expect you, of course, to be able to speak directly to certain issues. But I'm still growing in that area because me, for one, I don't like so much the public eye, but I had to become that person. And so this is also something that I'm also growing, and that is also part of the transition that I'm a bit challenging because I am not one who likes the public eye so much, you know.
And as you speak about your own self, I know you have a family. How has that been thus far for your family?
Yes, well, you spoke about the date in November when the announcement would be made, you know, but a few days before that would have been when I would have been given a call from the bishops, well, the senior bishop at that time, Bishop Brooks, and you know, then I had to, of course, discuss it with the family first, particularly, of course, my wife and my two sons, to find out, you know, because I still needed to find out, is this really God who is calling me to this particular level of ministry? And interestingly enough, I really thought that they would have been a bit concerned about the particular calling that I received at this time, but they were very supportive in terms of the fact that the boy said, "Oh, Daddy, that's all right, you know, we're okay with it." I had to explain to them, you know, you're going to be more in the public eye, and so forth and so. But they said, yes, Daddy, that's okay, that's okay. And then my wife is very supportive as well, said, well, she believes that if it is God's call, and she does believe that it may be God's call at this time, that we can go forward. For me, in terms of also having to move from a parish and so forth, of course, I would have gone through that from the time I was a child.
Yes.
You know, father being a priest itself, I knew about hope of transitioning from one location to another. And so for me, it wasn't too bad, but I was also concerned about them because, of course, they would have built up such a good relationship with people at that Holy Trinity at that time. But in this day and age with the social media and the means of communicating, it is so different compared to my time when I was moving, because I remember there was a time when I had to move from one parish to the other. I was very adamant that my mother should speak to my father and tell him, no, we cannot move from Christchurch, Parish Church, because I have my friends there and so forth. But now, I mean, it is so easy to communicate and keep in touch with your friends that wasn't a concern for them either, you know. And right now, for them, it is also a situation where my boys are able now to also, where we're living, they have connected themselves to St. Augustine's Church, and they're very much involved in there. So that keeps their mind as well, and keeps them, rather than having to go but with Daddy wherever Daddy goes, wherever church and so forth, they have found their own church to be at. And so they themselves are pretty much comfortable. My wife herself, she, because her job was very strenuous before, and again, for me, it was a situation where I was not finding as much time now, having become bishop, to be able to help my boys with their studies and so forth. So for her, she had to resign her job, and now she's into consultancy only, so that she can manage her time to be able to spend more time with the boys.
That's awesome.
And so that is their transition as well, to try to hopefully make all ends meet at this time, to try to help our family be able to cope with this new phase in our lives. You know, also the flexibility as well, because she also felt as though she needed to travel with me sometimes when I go to certain meetings overseas, because they allow the spouses to go to certain meetings. And so again, to resign from her job will give her the flexibility as well now to be able to go with me. So with consultancy, she can manage that her time a little easier, rather than having to be responsible to a boss, you know, and asking for time and so forth. So In relation to my mom also has been living with us as well, and I found myself as well unable to spend as much time, and for her it was a very difficult transition as well, because at Holy Trinity, again, when in the parish, you're home most of the time because so she can see you, so you communicate with the people when they come to the house and so forth, the rectory where she is and so forth. So I'm home more than I am now, right? And so for her too, it was a case of now recognizing that I have to miss my son a lot more after she had gotten so accustomed to him being home, you know, around. So for her as well, it was a transition, and as well, I'm not finding as much time really to have been able to deal with her and take care of her as I would have loved to, but all of that is in my transition as well, and their transition as well.
In your transition, their transition.
That's correct.
And being bishop is not only being bishop in Barbados, you have to go travel to the province when they have provincial meetings.
That's correct.
And so on and so forth.
Yes.
I do not envy you, but I must say I do support you.
Okay, thank you.
And continue to pray for you, especially in these challenging times, because it seems as though you have come at a time that the world has changed. And the world has dealt us a heavy blow. That heavy blow, you know what I'm talking about, COVID-19. How has the church been coping?
Yeah, you know, so excuse me. You know, I was reflecting on everything that has happened since the consecration and enthronement. And I think that I probably used the wrong word in the enthronement.
Which word might that have been?
Well, the wrong phrase, I should say, when I said that it's a new day.
It's a new day.
You know, and since then, everything just seemed to have just changed in our world, you know. So I believe, of course, that message, of course, came from God in relation to recognizing that we are going to be in a new time, and there must be a new way for our church to minister in this day and age. And so when we had our plans, for example, for this year, we were hoping to be very supportive in terms of the Vision 2020 and all the plans that were for this year as we try to bring our Barbadians home and so forth. We thought, of course, that we would have used Mission 2020 then, our coining of it in terms of Mission 2020, God's Gathering, as a means for our church to rise and once again be more involved in the community and the life of the people in Barbados. And we would have had our plans and so forth, and then COVID came in and kind of transitioned even those particular plans that we would have had, because it has then enabled us now to recognize that there's another way of, or an additional way of being church, as compared to what we were traditionally accustomed to. And I think it has pushed us, particularly within the Anglican Church, to recognize this particular means of being church, because that's how we have therefore had to try to cope with COVID when it came in, having the churches locked down. And then we had to then move, as you would have done, particularly at St. Paul's and some others, in terms of streaming our services to be able to get the message still out there and to give people and recognize that God is still here, that there's still hope, that we can conquer this, that we can get through this together with God, of course, and not by ourselves. And so we were able to do that. But, of course, we would have had the challenges of, particularly along the financial line. I still believe that we were able to still meet the people, because we, of course, were encouraging our clergy to continue to make contact with the people by way of telephone, by way of email facilities and the technology. But we, of course, recognize that we would have still needed some level of financing, because that's how the church continues to function. It can't engage in mission without the finances to support the mission. Even in terms of the outreach ministry, for those that we were accustomed giving some food hampers to support them and so forth, even that was a bit curtailed because we could not move around. Then persons weren't able to bring stuff to the church to make the hampers. So along that line, that's where we would have had the challenge, but we have moved towards the whole thing of Mission 2020 by way of using the social media to reach the people.
Reach the people. I am still, I still can't believe that I'm actually living through this era, to tell you the truth. Me, like you, do not like to be in the public's eye. And people who hear me say that always laugh. But now, as you say, the church has been forced. We have been maneuvered into the limelight, so to speak, the social media, the streaming, all of that, to get the message across. What would you, or do you find that to be, even though it's a plus, is it also negative? Because now churches are reopened. And in my mind, when I look at all the churches, I'm not speaking about my church in particular, when I look at all the churches, I still see a number of people still at home. And have they gotten accustomed to shopping services? Because some people describe it as that, shop for services online, so they can click, and they spend all day in front of the television. We can't win for losing. What do you say about that? Should we stop the streaming and tell everybody come back to church?
Well, I do recall, I remember when we were first talking about streaming our services, and I remember Alex Carrington, he's from Christchurch Parish Church. No, Alex Waterman, sorry.
Waterman, yes.
From Christchurch Parish
Christchurch,
Church.
yeah.
Yes, that's correct. That's why I was mixing them up. I remember when he raised the question or made a suggestion that the churches, this is a while ago, that the churches need to move towards streaming. I remember there was a big objection or concern, as it is, as you just expressed just now, concern that if we do the streaming, then persons will not come out to church because they can receive it at home and so forth. And it is still the concern, of course, at this time now, because, but what I found amazing is how God has brought us to this stage of recognizing that we needed to move beyond where we were in terms of meeting behind the four walls within our churches, and be able to allow his message to spread beyond the four walls to meet other persons who themselves would not be interested in coming to the in-person, behind the four walls type of church. And there is still the concern, I mean, even in terms of the diocese continuing its services on Sunday by way of the same streaming. I have received concerns where persons are telling me, well, Bishop, you know, if you're going to continue this year, you're really hindering persons from returning to church. But then I still have to be concerned of those who are still afraid of coming back to church, that they still receive some sort of spiritual nourishment. Also, those who will never attend church, or as I said, in terms of the physical structure or being in the physical building, that they themselves, because we recognize, of course, that we are also not only catering to those who
Our
members who used to actually come to the actual in-person worship before, but we recognize that there are others, even some of our shut-ins now, who are unable to actually be there in person. They can actually have the opportunity to worship with us through the streaming. And so, even although, as I said, yes, and it does concern me that persons may be a bit slower to return, I still believe that persons are slower to return, not so much because we're streaming, but because still they are so fearful of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm trusting that eventually, when we continue to pray for that there will be some vaccine, that we will be able to overcome this whole pandemic, and we will then be able to resume where persons are willing to come back out. However, I am still thinking that we need to be a mixed economy church, as the former Archbishop of Canterbury will term it, where we find different mediums and continue to use different mediums to reach persons, enabling them to be a part of the church and not just limit ourselves to the building and the in-person worship. That church can also incur in other avenues and other areas. And streaming is one of those.
Thank you so much, Bishop Michael Maxwell, for coming to share with us this evening about your journey thus far. If there is one thing that you would like to say to the entire world right now, what would it be? In 1 minute or half a second.
We are in changing times, and I want us to continue to be a resilient people, people who are not led to despair, but rather recognize that God is still with us and that God will continue to help us, and that we need to continue to rely on Him and seek to live our lives for Him, and He will see us through. So I bring that particular thought because at this time when we are facing and battling with this COVID-19, we find that persons are are losing hope, but we continue to trust, and we will continue to do what we can to help ourselves, and we continue to love each other and work with each other.
Well, thank you so much. Bishop Michael has reminded us that we are a resilient people. That indeed we are. And COVID-19, whatever it is that comes on the stage, God will be our guide because He is still God.
Amen.
You heard all of that from the baby bishop.
That's right.
The baby bishop.
That's right.
In the province, yes, he's the youngest, the last one to be consecrated. It was such a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Reverend Erma. Pleasure being here.
Okay.
Philip Seven here, and I want to applaud all you teachers and principals for the phenomenal job you're doing. COVID-19 has changed the way you teach, but you took up the challenge to find innovative ways and you rose to the occasion. It is challenging, yes. It is stressful, yes, but massive kudos to getting it done. But as you care for your students, I want you to take care of yourself too. Here are some ideas. Practice healthy eating habits. You are what you eat. Stay active, even if for just 10 or 15 minutes a day. A healthy body is as important as a healthy mind. Make time to relax, meditate, listen to some music, read a book, or simply nap. Remember, the way children need breaks, so do you. Unplug. COVID, exhaustion, and information overload are real and can take a mental toll. Reduce the time spent on sites and platforms which add to your feelings of anxiety. While teaching may be your superpower, accept that you aren't superhuman. Don't overextend yourself. Be assertive, but don't feel guilty for saying no. You cannot be everything to everyone. As the older people would say, you can't pour water from an empty cup. So, take care of yourself and we'll get through this together. We got this.
Barbados, are you ready for the Base to the World Finals? It's here, and it's AYP at your place. Sunday, March 21st, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Choose your entry. CBC TV 8, CBC Online, Trident 10 TV, Barbados Today, or Base to the World on Facebook. Who will be the winner? Chad Bowen, Rebecca Carter, Trinity Clark, Kashida Dodden, Anna Greenidge, Destiny Hunt, Dwayne Jones, Dario Piggott, Regina Ruck, Cindy Springer, Shakira Straker, or Justin Taylor. Fantastic prizes up for grabs. First prize, $10,000 plus a recording and marketing contract. Second prize, $5,000. Third prize, $2,500. Base to the World Finals is AYP at your place. Sunday, March 21st at 7:30 p.m. Don't you miss it. Base to the World is powered by the Community Development Department in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment. Connect and follow us on Instagram at Base to World and on Facebook at Base to the World for all updates. It's Base to the World.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Candid Conversations. It's our time now to talk about Scarred, Not Shattered, and it's a support group. This support group is led by two beautiful young ladies, and they are Tamika Newton and Dale Ford. Welcome, Tamika and Dale. It is such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So, what is this all about? Scarred, not shattered.
Well, they have this Scarred Not Shattered radio show, which Dale heads the radio show, and the Women Empowerment Network is my part, where I use my story to inspire and uplift women, motivate them. So that's where I come in. So there's a radio show and the Women's Empowerment Group.
Okay, so tell me about the radio show, because I like to think that I'm young, and I like to know and believe that I know everything, but I have not heard about this before. So please tell me about the radio show.
All right, well, let's go back a little bit just to explain how all of this started.
Yes, please.
During COVID has been a very traumatic time for a lot of people. Actually, I was reading something today, and it was saying if you survive COVID, you're either broke, unemployed, single, or fat.
If you survive COVID.
If you survive COVID, you're either broke, unemployed, single, or fat.
Oh my God.
So it has been a very traumatic time for a lot of people, and it was traumatic for me. I went through something that was very traumatic, and Tammy helped me through it. If you go on the page, you would read both Tammy and my story. And we decided that having conversations with other women, we realized that they were having similar challenges, not only financially, but with relationships within their families, because you're spending more time than you ever had before with your partner, your children, your mother who lives next door, or wherever. So it was a very challenging time. So we decided that we wanted to find a safe space for women to be able to tell their stories, and not only tell their stories, because when you tell a story, then what? So we wanted to be the then what. You tell the story and we're the then what. So we found we started the page, used the inspirational quotes, because that's something Tammy was doing every morning. That's how we actually got closer together, because I saw one of her quotes, and about being toxic human beings. And I called her and we started talking, and I always wanted to do a radio show, but I wanted somebody who was willing to tell their story. As a broadcaster, we tend to filter a lot of things because we're not supposed to be the story. We're supposed to report on the story. But for me to tell my story was very personal, and it was very hard for me to do. But she encouraged me, stayed on the phone with me while I was posting, and stayed on me on the phone about an hour after I posted. Yeah, because we started getting the feedback, and then we decided that we're gonna do the radio show. We started the radio show a few weeks ago. It's on 94.7 FM.
94.7 FM.
And it's carried live on 94.7 FM, and it's also streamed live on our Facebook page, Scarred Not Shattered.
So you have a Facebook page?
We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page as well.
Instagram?
Yeah.
I need to get on the Instagram.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, I'm already on Facebook. I don't use it very much. I put my face and a book.
Yeah, but if you're not somebody who's into social media, because we wanted to reach as wide a demographic as people as possible, so that's why we decided to go on radio as well. And a lot of people are starting online conversations, and we just wanted to stand out more. So we decided let's include radio, and have it streamed live on Facebook.
But tell me about this quote. What quote did Dale see that you posted?
Okay, I normally wake up if the spirit hit me and tell me to write something, I would write it. So
if the spirit hit you?
The spirit.
Yes, please.
Yes,
and we're talking about the Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit, not
yes, please.
Not the other spirit.
Have to make sure. Yes, please.
Yes. So I remember I got up one morning and I was on my whole journey to living a more healthier lifestyle. So I said, I'm going to start this detox. So I said, somebody said, well, just don't detox physically, detox spiritually and emotionally as well. I said, yeah, well, that's when we're good going together. So I said, well, let me put it up on Facebook. So I said, I'm not just detoxing physically, but spiritually and emotionally and mentally as well. So that's what caught the attention, because she probably thought that I was going through something. Yes, I was. And we both, we chatted on Facebook, and then she was able to open up and let me know certain things that was happening. I was able to tell her, I have been through this, and this is how I dealt with it. It was very open, very authentic, and didn't judge.
Yeah.
I listened, and when it was my turn to talk, I talked.
So did y'all know each other before?
Well,
we used to work together before.
Yeah. But just like They just say, hi, how are you
Yeah,
doing?
we were more
Passing,
colleagues
Yeah.
and
ships in the
passing.
night.
Yeah.
But she was always very friendly and very complimentary. When she saw me, she would always make me laugh. She
Okay.
would always say something that would make me crack up. And then when I saw her, I saw you at the supermarket.
Yes, the
I saw her at the
supermarket, yeah.
supermarket. We were chatting very briefly. And then I saw her Facebook page. And then that's how we reconnected.
Connected.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this support group that you have started, we get the privilege to hear it on the radio and also on the Facebook and the Instagram. Is it only for women? Can a man ask for support as well?
Yes, we're not just supporting women because there are men that have scars as well. And I found that since we started...
So these scars, I have a scar. I can't remember, but I have a scar. So this is the scar we're talking about?
We're talking about the physical scars and emotional scars.
Or physical and emotional.
scars.
Yes.
Mental scars. Based on my story coming up from rape and physical abuse, a lot of abusive relationships, I wanted to use my story to inspire a lot of women because there are a lot of women up there that going through the same thing that I have went through and they don't know how to get it. They believe there's no hope. And it all starts in acknowledging that there's a problem, and then you got to be honest with yourself, and then start to love yourself. Then it goes that way, but it's not easy because it didn't take me 2 seconds to get where I am today. I was still broken, still got a little healing to do, but at least I would love to help as much women as I can through the Scarred Not Shattered group.
We work very closely with the Men's Empowerment
Yes.
Network, Fabian
The
Sargent.
Men's
Sargent, yes, please.
Yeah, we work very closely with Fabian because Fabian is a trained social worker. And as I said, there's the what if. So there's the what then, I'm sorry. So when you tell the story, what then? So we rely on people like Fabian who are trained social workers, trained psychologists, trained mental health experts.
So trained social workers, trained mental health personnel, trained psychologists
that we have through Fabian's recommendations that we have available to us, not only to guide us, because it's okay to tell your story, but we are not trained. These trained people then come into studio to talk to us, and then we have people who reach out to us, however they get in contact with us, and then we're able to reach out to them and say, we have somebody who needs help. Where do we guide them to?
Where can we
and
channel?
we can speak to them, and they will be able to. But we work very closely with men because women will not heal, or they cannot heal effectively unless men heal as well.
Unless men heal as well.
Yes.
So it has to be both.
It has to be dual. We don't believe in having an antagonistic relationship with men. Men are a very large part of our lives, and in most instances, fathers, brothers, nephews, uncles, children, those kinds of things, and then more importantly, relationships. So if we have broken men and we have broken women, we're going to have a broken society. So we need to be able to find a way that men and women can heal together or separately, but when they come together, they have healthy and wholesome relationships so that we can have healthy and wholesome families. Yeah.
When I asked you about the physical scar, I wasn't being funny, okay? Because I actually have some scars, and when I fell, I was about 12 years old.
Right.
I have this scar, and every time I look at this scar, I remember the old lady who took care of me then. And she ripped it off because she was trying to help it to heal, but I hated her because that caused pain.
That's a traumatic experience. We go through so much trauma. There's not a human being on this planet who's not gone through trauma. We go through so much trauma, and sometimes in our society, we write it off as a part of growing up, or a part of, as she did, ripped off your band-aid because she felt she was doing you something good. Feel the pain one time and get it over and done with.
She tell me feel the pain one time.
Yeah.
How can you feel pain one time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how am I gonna heal from that?
But we don't heal.
Oh.
We don't in our society, and it's changing now because of organizations and people who are saying mental health is a real thing. And for you to be able to live a wholesome life or a full life, you need to be able to heal and correct a lot of those things. So it's a process, but we have to pay attention to our traumas. And that's what we're trying to do. We have to acknowledge it, like Tammy said.
Acknowledge it.
You have to acknowledge it and say, because I remember when I sent her the Facebook request to a lady, and I asked her to like the page. She said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Dale, I can't like the page because I don't have any scars." And I was like, okay, that's fine, you know. But we all have some kind of trauma and some kind of scars.
You know, I think you said that COVID probably was one of the things that started this really on the ground.
Yeah.
But when I look at COVID, I realized that I could actually be at home more, spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. Being in their space. I mean, I don't know if they enjoyed me being in their space. They didn't say anything. They haven't said anything yet. But I thought it was a time for families to spend that time together, since we just, you know, sometimes when we are even in the house,
right,
you do the phone, you text, when you could actually get up and go,
do something.
you know. But now COVID forced people to be in their homes. But you say,
but you're seeing your situation from a position of privilege. There are not a lot of people who are as privileged as you. There are a lot of people who live in homes who don't speak to each other, who are abusive. There are women who use going out to work and leaving home as a way of getting away from their abuse or their abuser.
Is that real?
Yes, it is.
Very real.
It is very
real.
And it is more real than people are willing to accept. And there are children who use their going to school or being able to freely get out of the house as a way to get away from their abuser. So you're coming from a position of privilege, and that's okay because that is your experience. But that is not the experience of a lot of people living in our country. It's not something that we want to acknowledge, but it is something that is happening. So a lot of the challenges that we're having in society are symptoms of these issues that we're not dealing with. That's why we talk about having wholesome families and having wholesome relationships. That's why it's important to be able to say, yes, I have a problem. Yes, I need to deal with it. Because if you are a hurt person, hurt people, if you recognize and acknowledge that you're hurt and you deal with it, the likelihood of you hurting yourself and another person is minimized. So I'm happy for you because that happened for you.
I don't even like that.
But that doesn't
says I am speaking from
a position
of privilege.
Yes, you are.
And I do not think I have a privilege, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yes.
Meaning that, meaning that you're fortunate to be able to have that experience. I wasn't abused, or I wasn't I wasn't abused, or I didn't have any of those challenges. But I went through a breakup. All during COVID, and it was very challenging. It was very hard for me, and I didn't have anybody to talk to until I spoke to Tammy. And there's so many women who've gone through the same thing, and men as well. And I had Tammy to talk to. A lot of them didn't have anybody to talk to.
So the important thing that we need to recognize in any situation in life is that we need to be able to communicate, share. You have to have somebody to talk to. And when you talk to people, no, I do not need my life in the Nation newspaper, nor the Advocate. So can I really trust you to talk to you?
Of course, everything is confidential, and you made a very interesting point. You know, people were like, why did you feel it was necessary to tell your story? You know, my relationship was never public, so why are you making the breakup public? Because we wanted to do the show, and we wanted the show to be authentic. And it was asking people to come on the show and tell their story. How can I ask you and stand up every Wednesday and Friday and ask people to come and tell their story, and I have not told mine? And I felt it was important to let people know it is okay to say, I've been in pain, I'm hurting, I need help, and to go and get help.
Okay. You mentioned mental health issues. How do we know that we have those situations? And you know, in Barbados, ever since, and this is candid conversation, so I speak in Bayesian, okay? Nobody wants to go down Jenkins.
Right.
Well,
so, what do you mean mental health?
Well, I basically go through depression and anxiety, and this came about from before. Well, I was pregnant with my son. He's now 2 years old, and after, but persons could not understand what was really happening to me. It's just like, really miserable, and they didn't want me to see in space that I was in. And I think it went back from when my son, he's 17 now, when I was pregnant with him in labor, I had seizures, ended up in ICU, and it was like this is it for her, she's not coming back. So no, after all that long time, and I'm now pregnant after, the distance, 17, I know it, my God, it was like, everything started to play back on my mind, and one day it would be nice, and then next day I was like this horrible human being. I would be getting on real bad, cussing everybody, and everybody can't understand how wrong with she was, she getting very foolish, not knowing that I was going through depression. So when you're in a relationship and the person does not understand that this is what it is, they can push you further into depression, because then there will be things that they might be saying to you that's going to trigger something that happened in your past, that's going to put you into something else. So you can forever like, I'm done with this, and I just, you keep going on. So the first thing to do, what I had to do is, and I remember I was at work and I collapsed at work because I was taking on too much. And based on what they were saying to me, I had to, I basically ended up on the ward. And it was
Which ward is this?
The ward at hospital, psychiatric ward. And I remember when I got in there, it was like, I saw everybody just moving, like everything in this room seemed to slow down. And everybody moving slow. And I myself started to feel like, I can go and move slow with these people. This ain't feel right. And they say, you know what, I need to be out of here. I can't be in here trying to get the help that I need, because it ain't that I was crazy. It's just that they put you there because they want to try to help you with medication or whatever. But I said to myself, it's not going to work if I'm going to be here and studying what has happened to my children on the outside. So I had to say, you know what, I need to go to here. So I basically called mother and said, look, come for me, I'm going to leave.
And we use terms like crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
I know Tammy used the term crazy, but mental health is a very critical thing. If your mental health is not correct, the rest of your life is going to not be correct. It's going to be off balance. And her situation was, she went to the psychiatric hospital. My situation was not like that. I'm very composed. I'm always in control, and even that is that's an issue. That's a flag. But when the situation happened to me, everybody was saying, "Oh, but it's just a breakup. You should just
a breakup.
Let it roll off your back.
There are many fish in the sea.
He's moved on, and you need to move on with your life, and And I'm saying, but this is hurting me. I feel as though I'm not able to cope. And as I wrote in the piece on the page, it was either people didn't know how to help me, or they didn't care, or they didn't take it seriously. So because Tammy went through it, she was able to help me get through it. And then I was able to meet a trained counselor and actually have counseling on the phone 3 times a week. And then if it wasn't, if it didn't feel it was coping and I needed to reach out to him at any time of the day, I was able to, even up to now, to call him, and he was able to help it through. So for me to be able to come and say, yes, I am somebody who people may know, my name may be more well known than other people, that doesn't mean that I am any different from other people. I have challenges too, and I'm willing to say I have challenges so that other people can say, yes, I have challenges too, and get help. Because even when I posted my story, I remember this guy said, why are you telling all your business on social media? You need to stop talking about your business. And I said, that's why people kill themselves. That's why people kill other people, because you're not supposed to come and say, I have a problem, I have a challenge, I need help, because that's not how our society is. If somebody can openly go someplace and have a safe space, that's why I admire the work that Fabian and his team do from men's empowerment. They create a safe space for men to be able to come and say, because I have Tammy, we have sisterhood, women can always find another female that they can talk to. But for men, it's even harder, because it's not, because of the hypermasculinity, it's not okay to come and say, I'm a man and I'm in pain. But the men's network group, they've said, yes, it is okay. It will be confidential, we will find help for you, and we will hold your hand. And that's critical, because once they get that help, they can help other people, they can help their female partner, they can help the other men in society, and again, everybody starts to heal.
Thank you so much for sharing intimately, Tamika and Dio. It was, I don't even know if I should say it was a pleasure. But yes, it was a pleasure. Yes, it was a pleasure. And it's a pleasure because you have come to share with the wider community that it's all right to experience life. But in the experience of life, you are not alone.
No.
We can check into scarred,
not shattered.
but not shattered. And it's not only for women, they can guide you, and they spoke about the men's empowerment group, so that is also something. And when you talk to these persons, they will direct you if they cannot, if you need professional help. They certainly will put you on to somebody. They might even send you to Reverend Ambrose. Who knows?
Most definitely.
But, but besides Reverend Ambrose, we will speak about the psychologist,
social workers,
the social worker,
the counselors,
the counselor, and
life coaches.
And trust me, this world that we live in can be a much better place if we admit that we need help, and we all need help. That help is love. Well, thank you so much for being with us here on Candid Conversations, Tamika and Dale. It was such a pleasure. And as I say, a pleasure, I'm not sure if that's the word, but yes, it was a pleasure, because now we know that we can get assistance. Women certainly can get assistance if they connect with scarred but not shattered. And they have a Facebook page, and there is also a radio program. And they might even send you to Reverend Ambrose. But in addition to that, don't worry with the Reverend Ambrose part. If you chat with them and you need professional help, they will direct you to the coaches, the counselors, the psychologists,
social workers,
and the social workers, whatever is necessary. And it's not only for women. They can direct you to men as well, because they spoke about the men empowerment group. Okay? So all of us, we need help. If our society can continue to rise, we need to admit that we are going through stress, and we all do in some form or fashion. So, my friends, it was truly a pleasure on Candid Conversations. See you next time.